Hi guys, welcome back to my CSS tutorial video. Today's video is going to be the part 2 of the previous one. On our last video we talked about the introduction to CSS, what it does, its function, why we need it. We've talked about it as a cascading style sheet which we use like to give a flashable, like a colorful display. So since we know what CSS does to our page, that we should know how we can get in touch, how we could program CSS. Okay, we're going to be looking at its syntax, how it works. So with CSS syntax, we deal with, when dealing with CSS, we deal with selector and the declaration. So let's take selector. Selector is more like an identifier that identify a particular content. It could be unique or it could be generic. Okay, in a way, like let me give, for instance, let me use me as an example. I am a selector. You can identify me by my name, that is privately my name. That's if it's not unique. If it's unique, and if it's generic, like a compound name, you could also regard me as a human being. So selector, what selector does is that it's identify an element we are targeting. So the declaration is more like we want to give it, like we are selecting a particular object and we want to actually make it unique. We want to give it some properties, like we want to change the background color, we want to make the font size bigger, we want the font size to go italic. We just want to manipulate that content, that selector. So according to W3 Schools, they said selector points to an HTML element, which I have stated that selector points to a particular, like to identify a particular element. So we give some example for those of us that have experience of coding using HTML. So this is basically an HTML template. So now we're targeting P, which is the selector, which stands for paragraph. So we're targeting paragraph and we're giving it a color of red. Like from the result here, we have these two paragraph colored red, and we also did a text align center to make it in the middle of the page. So we can also add some elements like H1, if we could remember our HTML, which is our first heading. We could add property like Palito is a boy. Okay, let's take for instance Palito is a boy. We want to distinguish H1 from paragraph. So we can just write our selector and our bracket, then I can give it a color, let me say blue, and let's test that. So we have Palito is a boy as blue. So the other thing I want you to know about CSS is that when including CSS to your code, there's a particular section in which we include our CSS or our script. Within the head element, we include our style tag, and this is how it is. Within our head, we can also include what we call title. And give our web page a title, let's say Palito tutorials. So within this head, we also include what we call a style property, which would include our CSS style inside. So within this, we can manipulate our HTML content. So we could select our paragraph, we could select our paragraph and decide to give it a background color of green, and also manipulate its color to like white. So we have a bunch of property and value. We are accessing a particular property, which is the background color, and we're giving it a value of green. We are accessing the property of its color, the text color itself, and we're giving it a value of white. So CSS is mainly a selector and its properties and value. I hope you like this tutorial. See you next week.